Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty fundamental for, well, any organization really, making choices that actually last.
That's right.
We're looking into a method called choosing by advantages, CBA for short. It's all about making what our sources call durable decisions. Yeah, the ones you got to live with long after the meeting wraps up.
And that durability thing is absolutely critical. Often how good the outcome is. It's kind of baked in by the process you use to get there. So if you want results that actually hold up, you really need a solid, systematic way of deciding, like CBA.
What I found fascinating right off the bat is how CBA makes you face up to the fact that we rarely decide based just on price.
Oh, definitely not.
I mean, if it was only about the lowest cost, why would anyone buy anything but the most basic functional option out there?
That's the classic price trap, isn't it? You could drive, say, a super cheap Ugo, perfectly functional, or wear a, $15 Casio watch. Does the job.
Yeah, but people don't. They'll happily spend 50 times more on shoes or a watch or a car. Why?
Because we value the differences, right? The advantages, whether they're real or just perceived, that one option has over another. That's what drives the choice, not just the bottom line price.
Exactly. Those advantages are key, but trying to measure them systematically, that's where things usually fall apart. So that's our mission for this deep dive. Show you how CBA helps you ditch the gut instinct, compare things that seem totally different. Apples, oranges, bananas, you name it, just by zeroing in on those beneficial differences.
Okay, sounds good. But maybe first let's talk about how we usually mess things up. Because, understanding the pitfalls is kind of step one.
Good point. Let's start with that intuitive trap. It's the easy way out when things get complicated, right? We just go with our gut. Or worse, what we've always done.
The organizational inertia.
Yeah, that better the devil you know thinking. You hear it constantly in meetings. But we've always done it this way, or we always hire supplier X. It's exhausting and probably expensive.
Oh, it's a huge money drain. That reliance on supplier X, even if their performance is just, barely acceptable.
Right.
You can end up wasting millions on results that aren't great just because nobody wants to rock the boat until there's like a total catastrophe.
So why do we default to that? There's a cognitive reason, right?
There is. Decision researchers talk about this a lot. It's the two systems of thinking.
System 1 and System 2, the famous ones.
Precisely. System 1, that's your intuition. It's in the limbic brain, the fast response part. It works automatically, super quickly, based on, past good or bad feelings.
Like fight or flight.
Kind of, yeah. Quick value judgments, gut feelings. It's easy. Takes almost no mental effort. That's why we lean on it when we're tired or stressed. Like studies show we react faster to angry faces. System 1 is screaming potential danger.
Okay, so that's a quick and dirty system. What about System 2?
System 2 is the logical part, the neocortex. That handles the heavy lifting. Abstract thought, deep analysis, complex calculations.
That's where the good decisions should be made.
Should be, yeah. But it's hard work. It takes real concentration, real effort.
So when the pressure's on, deadline looming, we default back to the easy System 1.
Yeah.
Even for decisions that really need that System 2 rigor.
And that's the problem. Because System 1 decisions, they're full of biases. And they often lead to rework later, which costs time and money.
Which brings us back to CBA. How does it help?
Think of CBA as like a safety net.
Right.
It forces the decision process out of that messy, emotional, high-pressure System 1 zone.
Right.
And into the structured, rational framework of System 2. It's systematic, it's repeatable. It's actually a lean method because if you make a durable decision the first time, you avoid all that costly rework.
Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts then. How does it actually work? We're using the tabular method for this, right? And the snack example.
Yep, post-workout snack. Apple, orange, or banana. Easy to grasp.
Okay, Step 1.
Step 1's always simple. Identify your alternatives. So, apple, orange, banana, done.
Step 2 is where it gets interesting, you said. Identifying factors. Now, a factor is what exactly?
A factor is basically an element, like a category, that contains the criteria you'll judge by. But here's the absolute key rule in CBA. You only select factors where there's a meaningful difference or advantage between your options.
Okay, wait. That's different. Usually you would ask, what's most important overall?
Exactly. Traditional methods focus on absolute importance. CBA flips it. It asks, where do these options actually differ in a way that benefits us? You don't rank the factor itself based on how important it sounds in the abstract.
Can you give an example, like the safety one from the sources?
Perfect example. Safety is, of course, hugely important, high absolute importance. Nobody disagrees.
Right.
But let's say you have 3 suppliers. They all meet your minimum safety specs, maybe even exceed them slightly. One's 99.8% compliant, the others are 99.7%.
Okay. So they're all safe enough?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
In CBA, safety then becomes table stakes. It's necessary to even be considered sure, but because there's no significant difference between them on that factor.
It doesn't actually help you choose between them.
Precisely. It doesn't offer a comparative advantage. If you include table stakes factors in your scoring, they just muddy the waters, dilute the real differences.
Okay, I get that. So conversely, what about something maybe less important sounding, like lean project delivery experience?
Right. Maybe overall that seems less critical than safety, lower absolute importance.
Yeah.
But if one firm has, say, 15 years of solid, verified lean experience and the other two have 0, that's a huge difference.
So that becomes a key factor in CBA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it provides a clear, significant comparative advantage regardless of its absolute ranking. It differentiates the options.
Got it. So for our snack example, the differentiating factors chosen were diet goal, flavor, nutrition, and convenience.
Yep. And notice, we're deliberately leaving cost out for now. That comes right at the end. That's standard CBA practice.
Okay. Moving on to step 3. Define criteria and attributes. What's the difference?
Criteria are the specific measures within a factor. Like for the diet goal factor, the criterion might be calories. For nutrition, maybe milligrams of vitamin C.
And the attribute.
The attribute is just the specific fact about one alternative related to that criterion. It's the data point. So for the apple, the attribute for the calories criterion is 52 calories.
So it's just listing the objective facts at this stage, no judgment yet.
Exactly. You're just gathering the data. Calories for diet, vitamin C for nutrition, maybe minutes to prepare for convenience, and even for something subjective like flavor. You state the attribute factually based on preference, like maybe stakeholders found this taste most preferred.
Okay, so we list all that out. Apple, 52 calories, orange, 86, banana, 94. Got the raw data. Now comes the scoring part, right? Finding the beneficial differences.
Right, and we call those differences advantages.
Yeah.
An advantage is defined specifically as a beneficial difference between the attributes of 2 alternatives.
Why not just say pros and cons?
Good question. CBA deliberately avoids that. Because really, a con for one option is just an advantage for another option when you compare them. Keeping the language focused only on advantages keeps it positive and consistent.
Okay, makes sense. So how do we score these advantages?
First, a simple mechanical step. Within each factor, you look at the attributes and underline the least preferred one.
Least preferred based on the criteria.
Exactly. So for calories, if the goal is low cal, the banana's 94 calories is the highest, therefore least preferred. Underline it. That attribute automatically gets a score of 0 for advantages.
Got it. 0 points for the worst performer in each category. Then what? Then
you calculate the specific advantages relative to that 0 point. The orange, at 86 calories, has an 8-calorie advantage over the banana, 94.86. The apple, at 52 calories, has a 42-calorie advantage over the banana, 94.52.
So you quantify the difference from the least preferred.
Precisely. You do that for every factor. For flavor, the subjective one, you might just note more preferred or most preferred. Let's say the banana had the most preferred taste.
Okay, we've listed all the advantages for each option within each factor. What's next?
Now, within each factor, you circle the greatest advantage listed. So, for calories, the apple's 42-calorie advantage would be circled. You do this for nutrition, convenience, flavor.
Okay, circling the biggest win in each category. This leads us to step 4, the big one.
Step 4, find the paramount advantage. This is really the anchor of the whole thing.
Paramount advantage, what is that?
You look at all the circled advantages, the biggest advantage from each factor, and the stakeholders decide which single one of those is the most important advantage overall.
The most important single beneficial difference across the whole decision.
Exactly. That single advantage gets assigned 100 points. It becomes the benchmark, the anchor against which all other advantages will be scored.
So in the snack example, the source said the banana's most preferred taste was chosen as the paramount advantage. It gets 100 points. Okay, but hang on. Why is subjective taste worth 100 points, but the apple's huge 42-calorie advantage that seems way more concrete only ended up getting, 35 points in the example? That feels arbitrary.
But that's the core of CBA. It forces a judgment call, a real discussion. It's not arbitrary if the team agrees on it. The scoring of the other circled advantages is done relative to that 100-point anchor.
Relative how?
The team has to ask, Okay, the banana's taste is our 100-point benchmark. How important is the orange's nutritional advantage compared to that? Is it almost as important? Maybe 85 points? How important is the apple's calorie advantage compared to the taste? Is it like only about a third as important? Maybe 35 points.
I see. So it's less about the raw numbers of the attributes and more about the team debating and agreeing on the relative value of each advantage, using that paramount advantage as the yardstick.
You got it. It forces that concentrated System 2 thinking. It requires dialogue and consensus on what really matters in terms of benefit for this specific decision.
And that avoids the problem in other systems where you just rate everything independently and throw it in a spreadsheet.
Right, where you include a dozen factors, many of them table stakes, assign some weights, and everything ends up looking kind of the same. CBA forces differentiation because you have to explicitly justify why one advantage is, say, 70% as important as the paramount one.
Okay, so once you've scored all the circled advantages relative to the 100-point anchor, you just add them up.
You sum the scores for each alternative. In the snack example, the orange ended up with 160 points, the banana got 135, and the apple had 105.
So a clear ranking based on the sum of valued advantages. Orange wins, then banana, then apple?
Based purely on the non-cost factors, yes.
Yeah.
And only now, at the very end, do we bring cost back into the picture.
Okay, let's look at those cost scenarios. Scenario 1, banana 25 cents, orange 30 cents, apple 50 cents. The orange has that 25-point advantage over the banana, 160 versus 135.
Right, so the question becomes, is that 25-point advantage worth paying an extra 5 cents for?
In this case, the source says yes. 5 cents for 25 points of agreed-upon advantage. Seems reasonable. Orange is the final choice.
Okay, but now scenario 2.
Mm-hmm.
Costs change. Orange jumps to 50 cents. Banana stays at 25 cents.
The orange still has that 25-point advantage in non-cost value over the banana. But now the cost difference is huge.
Exactly. Is that same 25-point advantage worth paying double the price? 25 extra cents. This is where the law of the decreasing returns kicks in.
And this is where it gets really strategic, right? You might decide, no, doubling the cost for that marginal 25-point gain isn't worth it. So you choose the banana.
Correct. But the thinking isn't just save 25 cents. It's about the overall cumulative advantage.
What do you mean?
By choosing the banana and saving that 25 cents, maybe you can use that money for something else that increases the total benefit. Maybe you buy the banana and a cheap bottle of water.
Ah, so you're looking at the whole package deal. The extra 25 cents might provide more overall advantage if spent elsewhere, rather than just getting those 25 points from the orange.
Precisely. CBA forces you to weigh the value of that specific advantage against the value of the money saved, considering how that money could be used otherwise.
Yeah.
Decisions don't happen in isolation, especially when budgets are tight.
It really drives home that point. The right decision is always situational, always depends on the context.
Always. It's like the classic thought experiment, pound of gold or gallon of water.
Right. In a shopping mall, you take the gold. Easy.
But stranded in the desert after 3 days, that gallon of water is priceless. The situation completely changes the paramount advantage. Water's advantage becomes infinite. Gold's becomes zero.
Which makes CBA really useful for challenging those, we've always done it this way, defaults in organizations, like the air handler example.
Yeah, that was a great one. Standard practice was always use the high-end air handlers, period. Didn't matter where they were going.
Just default.
Just the default.
Huh.
But one team paused and said, wait, this one is going in a mechanical space. Does it really need the same specs as one for a clean room? They decided to run a CBA specifically for that scenario.
And the result?
They actually chose the low-end unit. But crucially, not because it was cheapest.
Why then?
The CBA for that specific mechanical space scenario identified energy efficiency as the paramount advantage. And it turned out the low-end unit actually performed better on that specific metric in that context.
Wow. So it wasn't about saving money per se, but about getting the best value for that specific situation.
Exactly. And it did save money $11,000 on that one decision. But maybe more importantly, it gave the team confidence.
How so?
Everyone understood this decision applied only to the mechanical space scenario. It didn't set a dangerous precedent. They knew if a unit was needed for a sensitive, clean space, a new CBA would be run for that context, likely leading to a different choice. It broke the rigid tradition, but maintained standards where needed.
So it seems like the real power here is getting to best value decisions, which often saves money as a side effect, just by forcing you out of those automatic default behaviors.
And that's a great way to put it.
The sources also mentioned different CBA formats, right, for different kinds of decisions.
Yeah, depending on complexity or how quick you need to be. There's like Instant CBA for fast team choices, the tabular method we discussed, a simplified version, even a graphic method for really complex public decisions, different tools for different jobs.
But the core principle stays the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The main takeaway, regardless of format, is that the decision process needs to be revisited for each situation. Even if you did a CBA on something similar last year, the context might have changed. New constraints, new priorities.
Right.
A correct decision is always based on the specifics of the occasion. You have to reevaluate the advantages every single time.
Okay, so if the best decision really depends entirely on the situation, that mall versus the desert, maybe the challenge for everyone listening is to think about their own work or life. What's some standard practice or default decision you're currently running with just because it's always been done that way? Maybe it's time for a fresh look, a new situation-specific CBA.
That's a powerful thought. Definitely worth dedicating a bit of that System 2 brain power to.
Indeed. We'll leave you with that. Catch you on the next deep dive.
See you then.